March 1945. The Pacific War is entering its final, brutal phase. The Allies are closing in on Japan. Tokyo is being bombed. Okinawa is the next target. Admiral Raymond Spruance's Fifth Fleet pushes forward. A vast armada of carriers, battleships, and destroyers. USS Franklin, commanded by Captain Leslie Gehres, is at the front. Too far forward, some say. Only 50 miles from Japan's coast. Closer than any American carrier has ever dared. Every man aboard knows, the closer they get, the more desperate the enemy becomes. March 19th. The day begins with gray skies and a cold wind. At 6:45 a.m., flight operations are underway. Bombs are armed. Fuel lines hiss. Fighter planes warm up on the deck, waiting to strike targets on Kyushu. Radar operators scan the skies. Nothing unusual. The enemy seems silent. But above the clouds, unseen, a single Japanese dive bomber approaches. A Yokosuka D-4Y Judy. Silent, fast, deadly. It slips past the American radar net. No one sees it coming. 7:07 a.m. the first bomb hits. It pierces the flight deck, detonating in the hangar below. Bombs waiting to be loaded ignite in a chain reaction. A wall of fire erupts. Seconds later, the second bomb strikes. More gasoline, more fire. The hangar becomes an inferno. Sailors are vaporized. Others are blown into the sea. Entire squadrons vanish in seconds. The ship lists its decks melting under the heat. Men crawl through smoke-filled corridors, blinded, gasping for air. The smell of burning fuel. The screams. The deafening roar of exploding ammunition. A floating city turned into a nightmare. Amid the chaos, acts of courage defy comprehension. Father Joseph T. O'Callaghan, the ship's Catholic chaplain, rushes into the fire. He gives last rites to the dying, drags bombs away from the flames, and leads damage control crews through hell itself. Lieutenant Commander Stephen Jerica, the ship's air officer, fights the fires barehanded, coordinating men who refuse to abandon ship. Bosun's mates haul hoses across molten decks. Engineers climb through exploding compartments to shut off fuel lines. A few hundred men refusing to surrender. By 9 a.m., over 700 sailors are dead. Hundreds more wounded. Yet the ship still floats. The Franklin's captain, Leslie Gehres, faces the impossible. Abandon ship and lose her to the sea. Or fight, and risk every man left alive. He chooses to fight. Around him, smoke fills the bridge. He cannot see the flight deck. He cannot hear the engines. But his voice cuts through the chaos. We'll save her, or we'll go down with her. Nearby, USS Santa Fe, a light cruiser, spots the burning carrier. Captain Harold Fitz knows what he must do. He orders full speed ahead, straight into the flames. Amid exploding ordnance, the Santa Fe pulls alongside. Lines are thrown. Wounded men are carried across open decks as bombs detonate nearby. For hours, Santa Fe's crew fights fire with fire, literally spraying water over both ships to cool the decks. By afternoon, the impossible happens. The Franklin's fires begin to die. Her engines still operational. Her hull battered but intact. A ship that should have sunk refuses to. Escorted by destroyers, USS Franklin begins the slow crawl home. Speed, 5 knots. Destination, Ulithi, then Pearl Harbor. Her decks are scarred, twisted, and burned black. Her hangars are graveyards of melted steel. Yet her flag still flies. Sailors weep as they pass the bodies of friends. Father O'Callaghan reads prayers for the dead. Some say it feels like a funeral at sea. Others call it a resurrection. Months later, the Franklin limps into New York Harbor. Crowds gather along the piers. The press calls her the ship that refused to die. Of her 3,400 crewmen, 724 are dead, the most killed on any surviving U.S. ship in the war. Yet because she never sank, Franklin remains the most heavily damaged ship ever to return to port under her own power. Father O'Callaghan receives the Medal of Honor, the first U.S. Navy chaplain ever awarded one. Captain Gehres, too, is decorated, but controversy follows him for accusing survivors of desertion. Still, One truth remains unshaken. The Franklin endured what no other ship could. In the decades that followed, survivors of the Franklin gathered each year. They spoke softly of that day, of brothers lost and miracles witnessed. They remembered the heat, the noise, the prayers whispered in the smoke. They remembered what it meant to fight not just the enemy, but death itself. The Franklin was decommissioned in 1947. Her steel, though battered, still stands in history, a monument to courage and endurance. In war, machines are made of steel, but it is men who make them immortal. The USS Franklin burned, bled, and rose again. Her heart was not her engines, it was her crew. And though she sails no longer, her story endures, a testament to the unbreakable will of those who refused to surrender. They called her unsinkable, and they were right.